What is going on, guys? Inside New York Sports Podcast, talking about the New York Rangers, a team that we have not talked about in a very long time, and is probably for the better. They have not been great, and they're just inconsistent, man. They have injuries, obviously, major injuries. Adam Fox, of course, has been skating, but he is injured. JT Miller now on the IR with a shoulder injury. It looked like that he suffered against the Philadelphia Flyers, and that's just not ideal, right? I mean, the team is not playing good hockey. Doesn't look like they, in my opinion, I don't expect this team to be a playoff team, and I know it is early. We haven't even hit the trade deadline. We haven't hit any of that, but just the vibes for the team. They have a good head coach, right? Mike Sullivan, he's a good head coach, in my opinion. He was somebody that I think they were going to hire when they ended up moving on from the previous tenure. But there's too much going on about this team that, they're not very good. And it's obviously unfortunate because, this was a team, President's Trophy winner, had a good season in 2024, or whatever it was, 2023, I think it was. 2024. I'm trying to think now of when this team was good. That's my brain is blank. But the year that they obviously took Florida in the playoffs and didn't win it, obviously. But listen, I think Chris Drury, hasn't really done a great job ever since trading away Chris Kreider, trading away Jacob Trouba, moving around a lot of different pieces, keeping everything public, and it's not a good thing. We got to hope that Chris Drury is not the future GM of this team. And I guess really the basis of this kind of video is just breaking down everything. It's really just the vibes, man. It's not really statistics-wise. We know that the bottom at the Metro, even though the Metro is tight, they have a big game against Washington tonight with Igor Shesterkin confirmed in net. So that's obviously cool. Listen, it's tough to build around a roster when, one of your highest paid players is a goalie. We get that. But for the players that are paid very highly, $8.5 million, Mika Zibanejad, you could probably say Trocheck maybe hasn't had the greatest year compared to his previous few seasons. Lafreniere is not great, obviously. Gabe Perreault is up, and the Rangers are a much better team when he is in the lineup. Let's just leave it at that. He obviously missed a game against Nashville, which they lost. He had an illness. Matt Rempe continues to be in the lineup. You guys know how I feel about Matt Rempe in the lineup. He is just a big guy that clogs up minutes. Doesn't really give you much. I don't think you need Matt Rempe in the lineup really ever. I know the fans like him. Not really sure the point of him in the lineup when he's not going to give you really anything, goals, assists. He's just going to hit people and go after their enforcer, who's probably also going to log 5 minutes a night. So, the biggest problem with the Rangers is their development process, man. I mean, you look at all the young players that they have drafted. Where are they now? Right? I mean, they're gone, basically. Lafreniere is young, but, he signed a big contract, and I think that's really the big thing about Lafreniere is that if you're going to sign a big-time contract, I think it's $7.6 million, it's going to be tough to defend him when he only has, 18, 19 points, whatever he has this season, in 30-plus games when, he was a highly regarded prospect. They wanted him in the draft. He was unanimous number one pick. They compared him to the next Sidney Crosby, and, the Ranger fans were gifted him. And now we're at a spot where you kind of don't like where it's at in the development process. I mean, they denied a trade for him for Quinn Hughes. I would have been very open to trading Alexis Lafreniere for Quinn Hughes and obviously, other pieces, first-round picks, etc. But if you're going to trade for a big-time player, you're going to have to make that tough decision, that tough gamble to trade away Lafreniere. And I don't know if teams still believe in his game, but it's hard to trade with the New York Rangers because you look at their lineup. Outside of Artemi Panarin, who is there really to offer that you could trade? And the only people who honestly come to mind is stay-at-home defenseman Braden Schneider, Will Cooley. Outside of that, Gabe Perreault, if teams are asking about him. Other than that, and obviously, if I didn't mention Artemi Panarin already, that is it. They don't want Trocheck, probably. They don't want Mika Zibanejad, despite his no-trade clause and all that. They don't want, anybody really else, right? They're not going to want Connor Sheary, who continues to be on the top line and play big-time minutes for this team, and I hate it. I absolutely hate it. But, yeah, that's where I'm at with the Rangers, man. It's tough to talk about them, and I know I haven't made a video on them in a long time because we've been focused on the Rangers and the historically bad season for the New York Football Giants. But the biggest thing for them is to get through this season and see what happens, right? If they do end up selling at the deadline, I don't hate it. I think that's what they probably should do. They got to get younger and they got to get faster. You look at all these teams, right? Chicago, the Anaheim Ducks, the San Jose Sharks. All of these young teams, they're young and they're fast. And they have a few veterans. The problem with the Rangers is they're not fast. They're not fast enough to compete against teams. Played against the Sharks, and, Celebrini had a great game. And, Bedard, when he played against the Rangers, he had a good game. So it's the young movement that the Rangers have to get to. But the problem is that they have so many long-term deals. It's hard to go into a rebuild, right? If you were going to go into a rebuild, I don't think you're paying a goalie $11.5 million. I don't think you are. The other thing, too, is I don't think you are necessarily making some of the moves you do, right? I feel like you are potentially shipping off more players and not re-signing some of these players that maybe they did re-sign. But, listen, it's a tough stretch for this team. I know. They win weird games. They're better on the road. They are, have a horrific home record this season after being a team that when you played at Madison Square Garden, it was tough to play against them. Now it's just, all right, we're going to the Garden. We're going to have a good time in New York, get some good food, and then kick the Rangers' butts. But, it's tough, man. It's really tough to believe in this team. Obviously, it is not a team that really has Stanley Cup aspirations. Their expectation, or probably what they're working towards, is sneaking into the wild card team. And the fall off for the Rangers solely is just regression from a bunch of their top guys. That's really what it is. Peak Trocheck was awesome. Still love him as a player. Peak Mika Zibanejad, that is out the window. I know he's a solid defender. He could put the puck in the back of the net, but he's not going to give you 35, 40 goals in a season. That's just not Mika Zibanejad. Adam Fox is hurt, but he's phenomenal. They signed Gavrikov to a long-term deal, who I believe has been very solid this season. But, with Adam Fox not here, he's injured. The power play stinks. They've tried 5 forward power plays. That doesn't work. They've tried, a bunch of different things. But the problem is like I said so many times, this team is going to get ran through, and they need Lafreniere specifically to be better. And I don't like, just throwing in that one guy, but he's a young player. He's got young juice in him, and he's got to elevate this team. And It's been tough, obviously, this season to really believe in him because, the points that he has this season and, him not being much of an offensive threat. When they see him on the top power play unit, he immediately gets taken off, and then he's on the second unit. Listen, it's tough, and it's going to be a very, very tough season to not only talk about, but to watch. I mean, Washington, they have not had great success playing in Washington, D.C. And, we know their team. We know what they do. But the problem is the Rangers, either they get off to a hot start, first period looks good, and then it completely collapses, or they just look flat, and Washington's up 3-1 after the first period. I mean, the defense is not good enough for Igor Shesterkin. And I know a lot of people blame him for a lot of the Rangers' downfall, but the team can't score, man. I think they're averaging, I don't even know, but let me go on the Real app to see what their stats are looking like real quick, because I was looking at it for a little bit, but I'm not sure if the Real app gives their stuff. I think it's more on, oh, here it is. Yeah. So the Rangers' goals per game are 2.5, and their goals allowed per game are 2.7. Penalty kill is 81%. Power play is almost 19%. They hit more than Washington. They block more shots. And they have less giveaways. And they have 26 shots per game. Still a good face-off team at 54%. But, it's tough, right? You're only putting 2.5 goals per game with Artemi Panarin, Zibanejad, Trocheck, Laugh. That's not good. That's not good enough to beat any team in the Metropolitan. I mean, they even struggled against Philadelphia, man. I mean, they had a gutsy shootout win, I think it was, against them. But it's the last time these two teams met was on October 12th, 2025. So a few months ago. Both teams are 4-6 in their last 10. Rangers are 13-7 away from the Garden. Capitals are 11-8 at home. But yeah, I mean, Washington 19-12-5, respectable record. Rangers are 18-16-4. So it's gonna be interesting. I just want to take a look at the standings real quick. And this is the biggest thing. Right? The New York Rangers are at 40 points. That is 6th place in the Metropolitan. The second place team, the Philadelphia Flyers, who have played 35 games, have 43 points. Wow. Now, if my math is correct, the Rangers have played 38 games, so, they have played 3 more games than the Philadelphia Flyers, but that's how tight the Metro is. And if the Rangers have a good rest of December, they have a good, they have a good chance, man. I tell you what, they have a good chance at being a better team. But it's hard to believe in this team, man. It's hard that I've been talking about them for 14 damn minutes, Honestly, I'm pissed off, man. I really am about this freaking hockey team. Because the guys that you pay a lot aren't doing the damn job. And that's unfortunate, man. That's the unfortunate thing, is that they're not doing the freaking job, man. This is the game that they can win. This is the game that they can win. But when Washington, when Tom Wilson and other guys are taking penalties, you got to pay it to them. And the Rangers don't do that, man. It sucks, man. But, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Leave a like on the channel. Leave a comment on your thoughts on the New York Rangers. That is me signing off. Inside New York Sports Podcast, talking about the New York Rangers struggles, takeaways, and their preview against the Washington Capitals. I'll see you guys in the next one. Subscribe, like I said. and turn that bell on for notifications. Signing off. See you guys in the next one. Peace.